There is no possession more powerful, no instrument more capable of producing wealth, peace, purpose, and achievement than the properly trained mind. Every result you will ever obtain, every dollar earned, every relationship nurtured, every problem solved, every vision fulfilled will first be constructed, tested, and proven within the bounds of your own thinking. The mind is your workshop, your control tower, your power plant. It is the beginning and the end of all creation. And yet most walk through life having never taken ownership of it. The reason most men fail is not because they lack opportunity. It is not because they lack talent. It is because they have neglected to discipline their thoughts. They have allowed their minds to become instruments for others to play. Their emotions are led by headlines. Their focus is dictated by distractions. Their beliefs are not their own, but hand-me-downs from environments that were never designed to see them rise. They want better, but they think the same. And until the mind is trained, no external change will last. Success in every situation begins not with luck, not with access, not with talent, but with mental conditioning. The man who thinks clearly, consistently, and intentionally is the man who rises regardless of circumstance. Train your mind, and the world becomes your canvas. Leave your mind undisciplined, and the world becomes your cage. The first law of mental success is this: you are not your thoughts. You are the master of your thoughts. Thoughts will arise, some useful, some destructive, some powerful, some paralyzing. But it is your responsibility to choose. Thought is the only realm where man has full dominion. No one can enter it without your permission. And so, your first daily task, your first discipline, is to direct your mind toward that which serves your purpose. Begin your day not in reaction, but in reflection. Before the noise, before the demands, sit with yourself. Take inventory. Ask, what do I want? Who must I become to earn it? What do I believe about myself today? These are not idle questions. They are the instructions you are giving your subconscious mind. They are the bricks with which you build your daily experience. If you do not set your intention, the world will set it for you. And the world, my friend, does not care about your purpose. Train your mind to think for you, not against you. An untrained mind will replay past mistakes, exaggerate current fears, and doubt every decision. A trained mind will scan the same landscape and spot opportunity, detect patterns, and maintain focus on the objective. The landscape does not change, the lens does. And the lens is your responsibility. There is a law called autosuggestion. Every idea, every emotion, every phrase you repeat to yourself, whether with awareness or not, sinks into your subconscious and becomes a command. You must guard your self-talk as if it were law, for in truth it is. Speak to yourself as the man you are becoming. Declare your vision. Reinforce your identity. Remind yourself what you stand for. Over time, your mind will accept it as fact. And from that belief, behavior will follow. A trained mind is not reactive, it is responsive. It does not panic in pressure. It pauses. It evaluates. It chooses. This is why the disciplined man remains calm when others crumble. Not because he is emotionless, but because he has separated his identity from his emotions. He feels, but he is not led blindly by those feelings. He sees the waves of emotion as passing storms, not permanent truths. Now let us speak of fear. Fear, my friend, is the great thief. It steals more dreams than failure ever could. But here's the secret most never understand. Fear is not to be eliminated. It is to be understood. The trained mind does not deny fear. It interrogates it. It asks, what are you trying to protect me from? What evidence do you have? Is this fear based in fact or assumption? More often than not, fear is the result of mental laziness. It is the conclusion reached when the mind is left to drift without direction. Train your mind, and fear becomes fuel. The man who achieves success in every situation does not wait for fear to leave before he acts. He acts through fear. Why? Because his mind has been trained to follow purpose, not emotion. And where purpose is present, action becomes non-negotiable. The trained mind has a rule. If it aligns with a mission, it gets done, regardless of mood, regardless of fear, regardless of resistance. You must understand that your mind believes what you prove to it. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your mind gains confidence. Every time you do the hard thing when it's inconvenient, your mind learns discipline. Every time you visualize your outcome and take action aligned with it, your mind locks that path as possible. And with enough repetition, your mind stops resisting and starts assisting. You move from internal war to internal harmony. This is how momentum is born, not in big wins, but in small, repeated victories over self. Your environment will test your mental training, not just through challenge, but through comfort. Comfort is more dangerous than chaos. It whispers that you have earned rest. That growth is optional. That discipline can be paused. But the trained mind is aware. It knows that the real test is not how you perform when you're hungry, but how you behave when you're full. The trained mind maintains urgency in abundance. It respects routine when no one is watching. It stays the course when the prize is already in reach. Let us not forget, every success story you admire was first built in thought. The business, the invention, the movement, the fortune, all were once invisible. They lived only in the mind of the Creator. But thought alone is not enough. The trained mind executes. It bridges the gap between idea and reality through will, through work, through unwavering repetition. Train your mind to see the end result, feel it, believe in it, and then return to today with discipline, with clarity, with full presence. That is the paradox of achievement. You must live mentally in the future you are creating, while acting fully in the present moment that builds it. Too many men are imprisoned by the past or obsessed with the future, but never focused in the now. The trained mind understands now is all you have, and so it brings full intensity to the task at hand. Whether it is writing, building, speaking, serving, this moment is where excellence is created. You must develop the ability to hold two thoughts at once, the big vision and the next step. Without the vision, you lose direction. Without the step, you lose movement. Hold both. Review your vision daily. Define your next step clearly. And then, act with finality. Do not revisit the decision 100 times. Make it, commit, adapt if needed, but move forward. The trained mind values decisiveness. You must also guard against comparison. Nothing corrupts mental discipline like looking sideways. The trained mind looks ahead, not around. It does not measure by pace, but by alignment. You are not here to beat another man. You are here to fulfill your calling. Stay in your lane. Keep your eyes on your path. Let others race. You build. There will be moments when the path is unclear, when progress is slow, when fatigue whispers that you are failing. But these are not signs to stop. They are signs to double down, to return to your principles, to simplify, to execute. Confusion is not your enemy. It is a call to sharpen focus. And this is where the untrained mind fails. It seeks novelty. It jumps from path to path. It abandons effort too soon. But the trained mind understands. Success is hidden behind boredom, behind repetition, behind consistency. Train your mind to fall in love with the process, and the results will take care of themselves. This is the beginning, the foundation, the daily practice of mental conditioning that leads to uncommon achievement. And I tell you with full conviction, the man who trains his mind cannot be stopped, because no matter what the situation, he is already one within. If the first victory is the mastery of your thoughts, then the second victory is the translation of that mastery into action, sustained, purposeful, and resilient. Thought without application is like fire without fuel. It glows for a moment and fades away. But thought, when combined with decisive action, becomes a force that cuts through resistance and shapes outcomes. Once your mind has been trained to think accurately, it must now be trained to act deliberately. The great tragedy of most men is not ignorance, it is inaction. They know what must be done, they know what they desire, but they delay, procrastinate, or hesitate. Why? Because their minds are not yet disciplined to command the body. Their emotions pull them one way, their doubts another, and so they remain stagnant. But the trained mind gives direction and the body follows. The man who has trained his mind does not wait for perfect conditions, he creates them through motion. You must train your mind to believe that motion is medicine, that stagnation is the breeding ground of fear and uncertainty. When in doubt, act. When in fear, act. When in resistance, act. Action, repeated enough times, reshapes the mind's relationship with challenge. The man who moves toward difficulty becomes stronger than the man who avoids it. And strength, real strength, is not found in avoidance. It is forged in the fire of doing what must be done, even when it is uncomfortable. The habit of movement must become automatic. If you want to rewire your destiny, you must rewire your reflex. The untrained mind defaults to hesitation. The trained mind defaults to execution. And how is this achieved? By doing what you say you will do, no matter how small the task. Each time you follow through, your identity shifts. You are no longer a man who talks about it, you are a man who finishes. That shift is everything. There is no more powerful force in the world than the compound effect of small, consistent actions powered by a trained mind. People look for breakthroughs, but the wise man understands that breakthroughs are built, not found. They are the natural result of hours of quiet, deliberate labor. They come to those who earn them through sweat, focus, and patience. The mind must be trained to value process over promise, to see progress as success. Because once you can see progress where others see tedium, you unlock momentum. Momentum is not a gift, it is an outcome. The trained mind generates it by stacking wins, no matter how small. And once momentum is on your side, the world begins to bend. Obstacles that seemed immovable shift. People who doubted now pay attention. Circumstances once resisted now flow. Why? Because you are aligned. You are moving. And movement attracts opportunity. The trained mind is not addicted to results, it is addicted to standards. It knows that excellence is not a result you reach, but a habit you repeat. It does not rise and fall with wins and losses. It stays steady, anchored in daily disciplines. The world calls this obsession. The successful call it responsibility. Your training must also include resilience. Success in every situation requires the capacity to endure without breaking, to fail without losing vision, to be delayed without being discouraged. The mind must be trained to reframe. What the world calls failure, the trained mind calls data. What others see as rejection, the trained mind sees as redirection. Every setback is seen not as a wall, but as a mirror showing you where to adjust, grow, and evolve. This is not naive optimism. This is strategic realism. It is the mental habit of searching for value in every experience. The weak mind says, "Why me?" The trained mind says, "What's the lesson here?" And then it adjusts. It moves forward. It evolves. And over time, this habit creates a man who is practically immune to defeat, not because he avoids it, but because he turns it into fuel. Let me speak to you now about environment. The trained mind must not only direct itself, it must also protect itself. You cannot afford to allow your surroundings to sabotage your progress. Input becomes identity, Who you listen to, what you watch, what you read, these are not neutral. They are food for your mind. And the trained mind is selective about its diet. You must surround yourself with reinforcement. Read what strengthens you. Listen to what challenges you. Speak with those who see the highest version of you and who demand that you live up to it. The trained mind does not seek comfort in agreement. It seeks growth through accountability. And if such a circle does not yet exist, your mind must be strong enough to walk alone until it does. Loneliness is not your enemy. Confusion is not your enemy. In fact, both are symptoms that you are outgrowing your current environment. The untrained mind retreats in those moments. The trained mind rises. It uses the silence to create new patterns. It uses solitude to hear its own voice more clearly. And when the time is right, it emerges, not needy, but necessary. You must also train your mind to focus. In a world that is constantly demanding your attention, your ability to choose what not to engage with becomes a competitive advantage. Focus is not merely about intensity, it is about elimination. The trained mind says no to 99% of things so it can say yes to what truly matters. Time is your most precious asset. Every distraction, every unnecessary task, every pointless conversation is a theft. The trained mind protects its time the way a warrior protects his weapon. It schedules with intention. It guards its energy. It does not drift. It designs. And when setbacks come, as they always do, the trained mind meets them with poise. It does not ask for an easier path. It asks to become stronger because it knows this truth. Nothing outside of you has the power to defeat you unless you give it permission. Control the inside and the outside will follow. That is the law of internal victory. Before you ever win the game, you must win the mind. Before the reward, there is routine. Before recognition, there is repetition. Before anyone else believes, you must believe. And belief is not born in applause, it is born in effort. Daily, disciplined, relentless effort. Now, let us not mistake confidence for arrogance. The trained mind does not need to boast. It is too busy becoming. It has nothing to prove, only work to do. Its satisfaction comes from integrity, knowing that each day was lived with purpose, with presence, and with principle. And what a fatigue. What are those moments when the mind says, I've had enough? The trained mind answers not with emotion, but with command. It says, we're not done until the standard is met. This is not about burnout. It is about knowing that discipline is not a feeling, it is a decision. And decisions compound. Each disciplined day is a brick. Stack enough of them, and you build a fortress no storm can shake. The trained mind does not look for shortcuts. It builds structures, habits, systems. And those systems carry it when motivation fades. Success in every situation is not about getting lucky. It is about becoming the man who is ready when the moment comes. And readiness is not built in public, it is built in private. In the early hours, in the lonely nights, in the quiet moments when no one is clapping but you are still working, you must remind yourself often, I am not training my mind for comfort. I am training it for clarity, for consistency, for courage, because those are the tools that will serve me no matter the battlefield. And when the battle arrives, you will not need to rise to the occasion. You will default to your training, calm, clear, certain, and in that moment you will know, I am not here by chance. I am here by choice. And I am ready, not because it was easy, but because I earned it. You now stand at the final frontier of mental mastery, not simply directing your thoughts, not simply translating thought into action, but becoming a man who lives, breathes, and embodies the philosophy of a trained mind. You are no longer seeking success. You are no longer reaching for it as something outside yourself. You have realized that success in every situation is not something you pursue, but something you produce from the inside out. This transformation is not theoretical. It is practical. It is felt in the way you speak, the way you walk, the way you respond when things go wrong. The trained mind no longer panics when plans change. It adapts. It no longer complains about pressure. It performs. It no longer hesitates when action is required. It moves. This is the reward of mental training. You no longer try to succeed. You simply live in alignment with who you've become. You must now carry this mindset into all areas of life. Success is not compartmentalized. You do not train your mind to win in business and allow it to wander in health. You do not discipline it to lead others, then indulge laziness in private. Excellence demands integration. Your mind must now lead you in every room, every season, and every challenge. Let us speak of leadership. The greatest leaders are not those with the loudest voices or the largest followings. They are those whose minds are anchored in clarity, courage, and consistency. The trained mind does not need to control others. It commands respect by the sheer weight of its presence. It listens deeply. It thinks strategically. It speaks only when the words are necessary and grounded in truth. You must train your mind to speak less and observe more. Silence is not weakness, it is discipline. Observation is not delay, it is precision. The man who sees clearly moves wisely. The man who reacts blindly without discipline becomes a slave to circumstance. But you are not that man. You are the master of your responses. You think before you act. You lead from vision, not impulse. The trained mind also values emotional intelligence. Emotion is a gift, but only when it is channeled. You must feel without being ruled. Anger can be fuel, so can pain, so can fear, but only when filtered through purpose. Do not suppress your emotions. Study them, learn their patterns, know what triggers them, and then decide, not react, how they will serve you. Resilience is now your standard. The trained mind does not avoid discomfort, it embraces it, because it knows that discomfort is the signal of transformation. You cannot grow where you are comfortable. You cannot expand by staying safe. The man who is willing to face what others run from becomes what others only dream about. This includes rejection. The trained mind no longer fears rejection. It recognizes it as information. Feedback, clarity. You were not rejected, you were redirected. You were not denied, you were delayed. The trained mind does not take it personally. It takes it professionally. It adjusts the aim, sharpens the strategy, and returns to the mission, stronger. Let us now address purpose. Purpose is the compass of a trained mind. Without it, discipline fades, focus fades, confidence fades. But when purpose is clear, the trained mind becomes indomitable. It cannot be bribed by comfort, distracted by popularity, or stopped by pain. Every action, every decision, every sacrifice becomes worth it because it is tied to something greater than self. Purpose is not always grand. It does not have to be public, but it must be true. It must be personal. It must be so deeply ingrained in your mind that quitting is no longer an option. Rest? Yes. Recalibration? Of course, but quitting? Never. Because the man who knows why will always find the strength to figure out how. You must reinforce this purpose daily, through writing, through reflection, through repetition. You must remind yourself of the mission so consistently that it becomes your identity. And once your identity is aligned with your purpose, your behavior becomes automatic. You will no longer ask, should I do this? You will know, this is what I do. The trained mind is also generous, not because it needs recognition, but because it understands the law of exchange. When you give value, when you lift others, when you lead with integrity, the universe responds. Not always immediately, not always in ways you expect. But the man who contributes from a disciplined mind always creates influence that outlives him. Legacy is not built by accident. It is built by decision. The man who trains his mind to think long term, to act with integrity, to build with excellence, leaves behind more than results. He leaves behind impact. And that, my friend, is true wealth. Let us also speak of rest. The trained mind understands the value of recovery, not as an escape, but as a strategy. Rest is not quitting. It is refueling. It is not neglect. It is stewardship. You are not useful when you are burned out. You are useful when you are balanced. The trained mind knows when to press forward and when to pull back. It schedules restoration. It does not wait until breakdown. It honors the vessel because the vessel carries the vision. Balance, however, is not mediocrity. Do not confuse harmony with hesitation. The trained mind lives in alignment, not in passivity. It works hard, rests intentionally, and always returns to the path with clarity and conviction. That rhythm creates longevity. It allows you to succeed again and again, not once, not briefly, but repeatedly. Let's talk now about the power of detachment. The trained mind does not cling to outcomes. It focuses on effort, intention, alignment. This does not mean apathy, it means peace. You do your best. You build with excellence, and you trust the process. If it fails, you learn. If it succeeds, you refine. But either way, you keep moving. You are not addicted to results. You are addicted to responsibility. This posture makes you dangerous. Why? Because you are now immune to external chaos. You do not chase validation. You are not controlled by criticism. You are not inflated by praise. You operate from principle. That is the mindset of a master. Success in every situation becomes possible because your internal condition is unshakable. Others may panic, you remain calm. Others may doubt, you remain certain. Others may scatter, you stay steady. You are not following a trend, you are following your truth. And truth is undefeated. So where do you go from here? You build daily, quietly, powerfully. You treat your mind as your greatest asset. You discipline your thoughts like an artist shaping a masterpiece. You speak only what builds. You listen for what sharpens. You consume what strengthens. You rest when needed. You act when required. You repeat without excuse. You are no longer merely thinking about success. You are living it. You are no longer reacting to the world. You are creating it. You are no longer hoping for power. You have become it. This, my friend, is what it means to train your mind for success in every situation. Not to win sometimes. Not to win when it's easy. But to show up, stand tall, and succeed anyway, no matter the circumstances. Because now you do not adapt to the situation. You make the situation adapt to you. You do not shrink to fit the moment. You rise to command it. And that is the power of a trained mind. A mind that was once scattered, now focused. A mind that was once fragile, now firm. A mind that was once unsure, now unbreakable. You are no longer practicing the mindset of success. You are now walking in it.